So here we have the Loaded Chinchiller, a symmetrical flexy cruiser that's extremely fun for carving, pumping, and even some mellow freestyle. After a little over 7 months with it, I'll do my best to describe how it feels to ride, some alternative setups I tested, and even how it compares to the Poke. But first, let's take a look at the deck. The graphic was crafted by Retoka, a design studio based in Barcelona that explores the possibilities of color, shape, light effects, and movement. Now, obviously, art is subjective, but I personally love the retro, vintagey looking design. Its bamboo core is sandwiched between fiberglass and bonded with epoxy resin, making it flexible, light, and strong, which is pretty much Loaded's signature. It has subtle rocker and concave. Specifically, the concave is about a 1/4 inch deep in the center and gradually flattens towards the kicktails, which exist, but are on the shorter side. The CNC wheel wells allow for 65mm wheels without the need for any risers. I'll talk more about the wheel options later on since I tested a few different sizes. The 150mm Paris 50-degree RKPs are mounted with 1-inch button heads and come stock with 90A barrel and cone bushings. And the wheels are 65mm 80A orangutan love handles equipped with Loaded's built-in bearings. Love handles are a traction-focused wheel for deep carving riding styles because of their offset core, sharper lip, and wide 50mm contact patch. Now, that's all the parts of the Chinchiller. But how does everything work together and feel to ride? Well, when you mix a 21-inch wheelbase with 50-degree RKPs that are top-mounted to a flexy deck, it has the ability to perform deep carves and be very pumpable. Obviously not pumpable from a standstill like a surf skate pivoting adapter, but once you start to pick up some speed, you can really get into a fun, pumpy rhythm. The deck flex mixed with softer wheels absorbs rougher environments well. However, if you're riding in a rough environment consistently, you might want to consider a larger wheel for more urethane, which means more absorption, more cushy comfortness. The short, mellow kicktails are functional for shove-its and manuals, but I really found them the most functional for repositioning. While I do some occasional freestyle with it, I mostly use it for casual cruising and deep carving. That's the riding style that I'm currently doing the most. Now for the alternative setups I tested. First, I tried the 65mm 86A orangutan fat-free wheels, which have rounded lips and stone ground contact patches. From the perspective of power sliding and freestyle, these wheels make more sense than the love handles since the rounded lips are more forgiving. I also tried 70mm for Presidents, 75mm in heats, and 85mm Kaguamas. And real quick for context, I weigh right around 165 pounds. Surprisingly, I didn't experience wheel bite with the 70s, but obviously a lot of it comes down to your weight and riding style, which not surprisingly I experienced with the 75s and 85s. I solved it by using a 1/4 inch riser for the 75s and 3/8 of an inch riser for the 85s. My main takeaway after testing all these different sizes was that the love handles make the most sense for this setup, and so that's what I'm gonna keep on it. But that's not to say you shouldn't experiment. Then I swapped the stock Paris 90A bushings for orangutan orange and purple knuckles. This is probably the trickiest part to translate through a video, but I'll do my best, and I encourage you again to do your own testing. My main takeaway was that both the purple and orange knuckles felt like I was getting more juice out of my pumps. I don't know how else to describe it. I really enjoyed the double orange knuckles setup because my riding style is focused on deep carves, averaging a speed of like 8 to 12 miles an hour, and I just felt like I could get the most out of my pumping with those. Overall, the stock bushings feel solid. I don't think you're gonna be disappointed if you just leave it stock. Okay, now let's compare it to the Poke. The first obvious difference, just by looking at it, is that the Chinchiller has a symmetrical shape while the Poke has a directional shape. The kicktail of the Poke is a higher angle and about an inch longer than the Chinchiller's kicktails. And the nose of the Poke is about an inch shorter than the Chinchiller kicks. Just by alternating between the two things stood out to me: the deck flex and concave. The Chinchiller flexes a good amount more than the Poke. As a result, you can carry your momentum more efficiently while pumping. Sure, the Poke flexes, but just alternating between the two, it felt a lot stiffer than the Chiller. As a result of less flex, the Poke felt a little harsher since it wasn't absorbing as much. But there's a trade-off. A stiffer deck is easier to throw out and slide. The second thing that stood out to me was that the Poke has a more noticeable amount of concave. It's about 1/4 of an inch deeper than the Chiller. If someone asked me to help them pick between the two, I'd hit them with, well, do you want something that's more functional for slides and freestyle? Then the Poke probably makes more sense since it's stiffer, has more aggressive grip tape, and deeper concave. Or do you want something that's more functional for deeper carving and pumping? The Chinchiller. You can't really go wrong with either though. They're both really solid, and it comes down to your riding preferences. A little side rant here is that I put my Revel electric kit on the Chinchiller, and the flex on an electric setup is mind-blowing. Like, it is so fun. So maybe I'll do a separate video in the future breaking that down. If you have a local shop, buy it from them. If you buy it online, affiliate links will be in the description below. And if you already have the Chinchiller and you've tested with alternative setups, I'm curious, let me know in the comments.